And we are live.
We indeed are live. Hi Shantanu, how are you?
I am doing good, Vibor. How are you? How is it going in
I'm
Croatia?
how's it going in Croatia? Depends in which part of the country. Currently, I'm in Zagreb. It's a little bit cloudy, so it's not as horribly as hot as it was before. Where are you right now? Are you no,
Uh,
you're not in Bangalore anymore. You're back home now, right?
yeah, I'm back home. It's pretty good right now. Moderate weather, around 35 degrees. And yeah, it's warm, it's good. Better than what it was
Okay.
in summer. Way better.
Okay. Okay. I see that we are getting more people to join us.
Yep.
Let's wait a minute or two for more
Sure.
people to join. Um, okay.
But
I'm
yeah, I
assuming we'll
mean,
have people from all over the world, just like the last time. We had people from the US, we had some people from India and Europe,
100%.
so all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, before we dive in, I have a bunch of questions for you, Vibor. So, since this
Okay.
webinar is all about cinematic UI and all of these
Mhm.
stuff, which is one website or one UI that you love the most?
Oh, oh God. We definitely didn't we didn't we didn't do a preparation for this one. What's the website that I like the most?
I love Apple's website.
That's a
They have a beautiful cinematics. Apple.
Yeah, they do. They do. Their entire static language is pretty
Yeah.
interesting. Um I think that, for me, it changes depending on the different domains and areas. I know previously there was a company called FI, like Fantasy Interactive. They used
Okay.
to do a lot of interesting concepts. Some of them were merging different, cinematics elements. Some were using video elements. So they were exploring how, some of the common user interfaces or user experiences could be reimagined. And now
Hmm.
with tools, with AI powered or AI generated tools that you're now currently having, bringing those experiences becomes a little bit more accessible and
Yeah.
I would say available to everyone. But yeah, Apple, they, for example, when you're scrolling, so they'll have different parts of the hardware even opening and
Yeah.
stuff like that. We will not be building something like that today, but it is definitely doable and feasible. So that's thanks for the question. It was a moment of I was not expecting it because we haven't really
It
tried this
just
one
came up
out
to my
before.
mind. I was like, it was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
came up to my mind. I was like, no, let's brainstorm a bit on this. Awesome. I
Yeah,
think
let's
we
bring
have.
him in an awkward position. So let's do
Sorry.
no problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we could actually start. We have around we have enough people. We could start, and more people will be joining. As always, these webinars, they are being automatically recorded, so you'll be able to see them. Where we're streaming right now, Shantanu, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and on
And on
X,
Twitter. Yes,
and
on
on
NX.
Twitter. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we are all over the place. Uh, do a little intro, and we can start.
Awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much once again, Pibor, for joining in. And uh, thank you so much, everybody, for joining in again. We hope you're having a good time from wherever you are joining in. Welcome to yet another weekly webinar. And today we are exploring something very unique, something very exciting. So we'll be diving in building out a very nice, beautiful cinematic UI. And Vibor will be walking you through the whole process of how to do it and and steps behind the scenes. So yes, Vibor, the stage is all yours, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, as Shantanu was saying, so today I will be showing you a couple of examples of cinematic experiences that you could possibly build with Zencoder. So a couple of things to have in mind here, and I will show you examples of pretty much same prompts giving different results, which is an inherent nature of LLMs. But instead of seeing it as a weakness, you can also see it as something that allows you to experiment pretty much all over the top without the need for using some third-party tools even. So today I will be doing this in we just made a decision that usually we did these demos in VS Code, but we always say that Zencoder is an extension and it works really well in JetBrains as well, in JetBrains family of IDEs. So today, just to mix the things a little bit up, I decided to do the demo in WebStorm, pretty much the same stuff as you would expect it, and it's doable in VS Code or anywhere else. So yeah, let me share my screen. We can start with that. Shantanu, again, I will ask you for a favor while I'm
Sure.
sharing the screen. And on this, if there are any questions, feel free to stop me at any point because I will not be
Done.
seeing our UI here. So just let me know
Done.
about that.
Yep, sure.
All right, let me share the screen in a second, and we can kick it off. Can you tell me if you can see my ID,
Yes.
my web store?
Yes, Vibhor.
All
I
right.
can see your screen. Yeah.
All right, maybe I will zoom in just a tiny little bit so it's a little bit easier for people to see everything that I'm typing. We can
I
share
think a
prompts
bit
later
more.
on if people are interested.
Yeah, I think this
Hmm?
should be good. Yeah, I think this should be good.
It should be good. All right. So I am in WebStorm, as I said. I have this project. I called it appropriately Cinematic. It's pretty much just an empty project with the default React scaffolding. So there is nothing major that I've added here. So index CSS, like a super basic stuff that's been added as a scaffold when I started and created this project. But what I want to do, I actually want to see how I can use Zencoder to help me build cinematic experiences. Now, when I say cinematic, what does that mean? I actually want to try and explore different options of how Zencoder with proper prompting can help me build UIs that are not just standard stuff that you might expect from a CRM app or maybe a to-do app. Just to go a little bit crazy. It's summer. We have a little bit more of the relaxed topic today. And something that we also noticed during our research and experimenting, when you want to tickle the LLM's brains, they actually react quite positively on using very rich adjectives, right? So for example, if you say kinetic, if you say dynamic, if you say neuroplastic, you will see some of those examples later on. The LLMs tend to produce results which are quite interesting, quite creative. They're not just like a cookie cutter landing page that you usually have. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with a prompt that I have here. So I will go through it really quickly. What I said, like, I would like you to build me a beautifully cinematic landing page for my startup. My startup deals with quantum computing. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like after AI, will probably be in quantum computing startups. And this is what I was saying. Like I wanted to use tactile, almost tangible animations in the header. All those adjectives will actually help LLM to produce a little bit more, I would say, non-standard solution. Hopefully, something that's quite interesting. If you are aware, of some specific frameworks that you would like to use, you can always nudge Zencoder in that direction. So, for example, I told it, I want you to use Framer Motion. For most of you probably know about it, but Framer actually enables you to build those dynamic, movable experiences. It's really popular when you want to build micro interactions in some of the animations. So even if you just mention it, Zencoder will figure out, what is it that you're trying to build. So I also said, look, I wanted to have this premium cinematic feel, not field, but never mind, of an expensive website with some really amazing and beautifully designed elements. Project is using React, as I said, it's just a scaffold, but I encourage you to use, CSS in HTML. If you want to use some framework, go with Tailwind 4. To keep this simple, I instructed here just go with the CDN, so it doesn't have to do the entire building process. I just wanted to basically simplify some of these things. So what will happen now? Now coding agent is going to get hyped about this, I hope, and it will check the current code base that we have. Yeah, that's exactly what it's doing. So it will check what I have in my package JSON. Okay, you remember I told it I would like it to use framework. Now it suggests me, okay, I want to install this, so I'll just hit run once. It will add this as a dependency. It will now continue going through this entire process and figure out what to do next. It says like, okay, let me start by installing it. Great, now it will update the HTML file to include Tailwind from CDN. It will even set proper meta tags for our cinematic quantum computing landing page. Okay, nice. I did not necessarily ask you to do that. But some of these things are, okay, I see what this means. So as you can see here, it included Tailwind CSS, it included meta, so it's description. For SEO, it's now working on some styles, imports a bunch of different things. Quantum particles is actually quite creative when it comes to naming different packages and components that it's creating. Let me hit apply all, run. Let's see what's going to happen. As I said, I will show you a couple of these runs that I did before when I was creating and preparing for this webinar, and you can see that pretty much following the same prompt, you will get more or less vastly different results, which allows you to experiment freely. I know that people often use Zencoder in business environments, especially in enterprise environments, but it can be quite often used also if you just want to build some, as I said, more eye candy experiences or landing pages or something that's very customer facing, not always refactoring large Java code bases or migrating from an older version of Python to something like that. All those are prime cases where Zencoder truly shines, thanks to repo grokking, thanks to agentic pipeline, elements of those which are you're seeing here. But you can also use it, as I said, if you want to start from scratch and build your own landing page, if you want to build a page for your, I don't know, club or for your own portfolio. Zencoder can definitely help you with that. As I said, in this case here, I'm building something for the quantum computing startup. So it's working on quantum particles background component. These things usually take a little while, and you will see probably at the end, the number of different files that it created and the bunch of code that it created justifies this process. And Zencoder, that's something that people often ask us, like, why is it, sometimes taking a little bit longer? The thing is that we have this agentic pipeline in the background, right? So we will try to fix just the pure outputs that the LLM generally would give you. So instead of that, we will try to do a couple of passes, make sure that the code that we generate is as close as possible to production quality level of it. As you can see here, now it's working on a features component. Before that, it worked on, what was it? There's a lot of math, so I'm assuming there are some particle systems. So I'm assuming there are going to be some animations. Let's give it a second to figure out what it will build for us. But as I said, yeah, based on our experience, don't be shy and going overboard with asking it for, you will see in the last prompt, if I get a chance, I just literally said, like, I want you to build something quantum neuroplastic, right? Without really completely understanding what would that trigger the LLM to do. So while you can be very, like surgically specific, you can also talk to it in much broader terms and try to figure out what it will do as we are progressing. While we are building our components, Shantanu, do we have any questions, or do you have any questions so far from the
Um,
people?
no, I don't think people have any questions so far.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks good,
No
I
problem.
guess.
Okay, no problem. So it completed the technology section. Now it's working on the call to action component. One thing that I also want to show you. So when building cinematic experiences or something like this, you might notice, and I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen now and how this is going to look, because the prompt that I added was deliberately relatively broad. But at the end, you might still want to, give a sanity check to it. So what I created, and I will show you exactly how I did it, was a conversion rate optimization agent, custom agent for landing pages. So I will show you how you can build those. So even when you are exploring some creative concepts and you're not limited to, typical constraints of the enterprise architecture, you might still want to, bring it closer to reality and apply best practices that are related to conversion rate optimization, to making sure that, this makes sense from a business point of view. So I will show you that as well. I see that we are now creating a footer component. So hopefully, if we are going in a sequential meaningful way, that means that we would be nearing our process to the end of this initial cover. So let's give it a second. While it's working on this, I can actually show you and encourage everyone to use our agents. So by default, if I click here, our agents, Zencoder comes with a number of built-in agents. So coding agent is the one that is currently working on that chat in the background. End-to-end testing agent helps you build end-to-end tests for web apps. We use Playwright in the background, so if you want to literally emulate, I would say, users' behavior, clicking on different elements and building those tests, you can use the end-to-end testing agent. Unit test agent, similar part of our Zentester experience, but attacking this problem and covering this part of the SDLC from the unit testing perspective, and repo info agent that gathers all the information about your repository and then feeds it as a context to Zencoder, to the agent itself. But what's really nice and powerful is the ability to create your own agents. So if you want to encapsulate some specific knowledge and share it with others, maybe apply very different, very specific coding styles, or what I did here, let me find it. It should be called CRO, which always reminds me of my homeland, Croatia. So yeah, I call it Crow agent. You invoke it by just hitting /CRO, and I will run it a bit later. And I said like, hey, I want you to act as a world-class CRO, conducting comprehensive audit of website to identify areas for improvement. And it will then focus on UX and content quality, call to actions. But you see here, already Zencoder was trying to implement some of those best practices. You saw at one point that it was building this call to action. So let's go back and figure out, check where we currently stand with our chat. Let's see. Okay, it was removing all classes. It's still working on this. It had a bunch of stuff for us. Yeah. So well, this happens when you give it a relatively broad prompt and expect LLM to think about it and come up with some of the ideas. So let's see how this will work. All right. Let's inspect really quickly what it did. It created a bunch of components, as we can see, SRC components, navigation, footer, call to action that we mentioned, some index files, features, a lot of it actually. All right, apply all. Run once, let's see what will happen. I have no idea. Let's just click on this one. Oh, wow. Shantanu, can you guys still see my screen? Am I sharing it?
Yes, we were. I can see your screen,
Yeah,
and this
you
looks
do.
beautiful.
Okay, all right. Oh, this is nice. When I go down, it fades out and it
Yeah.
moves. This is really neat. Oh, okay, this is pretty cool. It changes colors when I'm hovering over. That is actually pretty neat. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's neat. So it's even color coded, right? It uses
Yep.
this green stuff here, blue stuff here. Oh, I just noticed one thing. Do you see here? It has this like a progress bar on the top of my browser. I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys can see it.
Yep.
And it has this inertia effect, which is pretty nice.
Mhm.
Okay, this is not bad. This is not bad, but I think we can make this a little bit, we can even make it a little bit better. Let me try and make another change. So I'll go back here. I will stop my terminal. It might now suggest to do a couple of things on its own. Let's see what it will do. Oh, it's even going to create a README file for me to document what it built. Okay, nice. I usually wouldn't do that myself for exploration like this, but if it's an AI, it doesn't cost him a lot of time. It's just some tokens and one call. So I let it do it. But while it's doing that, what I want to do, actually, let me show you what I would like to, how I'd like to improve this header, right? It looks nice. I have this particle effects in the background, but I think we could actually make it a little bit more interesting. I would like to make it maybe a little bit more interactive to react maybe on my mouse or on my cursor movements. So let's see how that would work. And potentially, let's see if I could do and make any other changes. I think others are probably fine so far. It has this even like a glowing effect here, and this orb is also changing its color. So yeah, as I said, I mean, if I were to run the literal same prompt again, you would get a very different result, more or less, right? So I often use Zencoder as my creative buddy, basically someone that I can bounce off some crazy ideas and just to try to figure out, even without hitting Figma, just to see what can happen. Okay, I'll just say continue this request. It ran out of the number of the calls, so we had like 25 calls per session that you can do, but it will now do it. I will actually stop it here, and I will give it I will give this new prompt that I just pasted. So can we add the fact when I'm moving my mouse in the header, that pulsating background, some interesting pattern happens. So let's just see how that would work. So notice here that I didn't tell it, in which files it should go look for these changes, right? So I'm just literally vibing my way around and hoping that, trusting that Zencoder will actually figure out exactly in which position. Yeah, it knows that there is a hero component. And if I look in my files here, components, you can see that, a bunch of them have been created here. It organized them nicely. If you remember when we started, we just had the app.jsx and main.jsx file, but Zencoder will try to follow the best practices and, create components and create assets following the best practices given the framework that you're using. So here, yeah, I asked it to create, what did I ask it even to do? I asked it to make something that would follow, mouse following pulsating background effect. And I see here that it's adding some event handlers. It is removing something. Oh, okay, it's using states. I'm curious to see how this is going to look like. I mean, it's always a little bit unexpected because you never know what you're gonna get. That's what happens with LLMs when you provide them with such broad prompts, right? Now, of course, if I were to go in and tell it, very surgically, I want you to change this header and add these and these elements and be quite specific around it, that would happen, and that would give you a much higher level of predictability. But when you go deliberately and when you're creating cinematic experiences or where you're creating kinetic experiences, then that's exactly what you want to do, right? In those cases, you want to go a little bit wide and more open-ended and see what happens. All right, let's see what happened. Let's see what happened here. It is loading. Oh, okay. I don't know if it's visible for you guys
Yes.
as well.
Yep. It is
You
pretty
see
much
that it
visible.
added. It's pretty much visible.
Yep.
Okay, so it's following me around in this header section as
Wow.
I asked it to do. That's
Mhm.
actually pretty neat. And the last thing what I'm going to do, give me 1 second. This is the prompt that reminds me of my agency days. Sometimes you would have a client who would come and say stuff like make it pop, right? You would design an experience for them or create a website and they would say like, yeah, I like it, it's nice, but can we make this part pop? And it's probably the part that designers don't really enjoy because what does the making it pop means, right? It can mean very different things to very different people. But now I'm going to do something like this to AI, which will not complain about it. So what I'm saying is like make it more quantum, whatever that means. I asked you to add some 3D abstract forms across the web page that react to tactile experiences that users would expect from a CodeGen startup meeting a quantum CodeGen startup. I want it to be futuristic, but I also wanted to use this almost quantum neuroplastic quality. Now, what does that even mean? For different people, it will mean different things. And for the AI, it will definitely mean different stuff. But what I've experienced and discovered is, as I said before, don't be afraid to use phrasing like this, even if it's a little bit unclear for you what that might mean. The LLMs might get proper neurons activated, and you might end up having something really interesting to your page. So it says here, I'll add floating quantum geometries, morphing structures, interactive elements responding to user interaction across all sections. So creating a new component for 3D quantum forms, right? Have no idea what that means, but it was trained on a set and it developed this internalized knowledge of what someone means when it says make it pop, or in this case what someone might mean when it says I want it to be morphing, I want to have this glass morphism, or I wanted to have this cinematic tactile feel or quantum neuroplasticity. So in any case, feel free to use Zencoder in these cases like your playground, like your literal creative playground, right? So you will not, if you were to do code refactoring, you would definitely not go with the prompt like this. You would want to keep it more to the point and more practical, almost surgical in some elements. But when you are doing free form explorations like this one here, something like this is definitely quite encouraged, I would say. Um, so while it's working on trying to take this crazy prompt and idea that I had, Shantan, I wanted to ask, do we have any questions, or is everything
No, I think
qu-
no
qu-
questions from the community. I think they're pretty much excited to see the results, what's happening across on your screen.
okay,
But I
okay,
have a question.
go ahead.
So
Shit.
I mean, this is just on top of my mind. So if you see the other AI toolkits out there, they enable you
Hmm.
to do one click deployment. So I'm assuming we can also do the same using Zencoder, using MCPs and things like that.
Hmm.
So just wanted to throw
Yeah,
some light on.
yeah, okay. Let me actually cover this from two perspectives, right? So one is the question of deploying. So right, of course, I've created this website. Um, I'm currently using Vite, because it's very fast for my local deployment. But yes, I could, of course, connect this with a number of external MCPs, maybe Vercel or Netlify or something like that, and just easily publish this. There are tools that are enabling this to do it, within the application itself, but that inherently comes with some of the limitations, because people might have very specific use cases and might have a very specific environments they want to deploy this to, right? That's one thing. The other thing that I like, and tools like Zencoder might often get a little bit overlooked in this domain, is the fact that Zencoder, especially in this case here, I did not constrain it deliberately. I did not constrain it to a very specific framework, like, I don't know, ShadCN or something like that, right? So I wanted it to be able to explore and use different elements, breaking the mold, or pretty much breaking the established structure that I would typically have in some of the tools that might have a little bit more of an opinionated stack, right? So both of those approaches perfectly valid, and both of those approaches have a lot of validity to them. But with Zencoder, you literally have this, I would say, pretty much unrestricted freedom. So if I wanted to build this using, I don't know, DHTML, dynamic HTML. I don't know if someone is old enough in this chat to remember that stuff from when I was a kid. Zencoder would probably do that. It would probably broke in browsers, because I don't know how that would work. But you're not limited in terms of technology. You're not limited in terms of framework. As you remember, in the first prompt here, I told it like use Framer Motion, but I could tell it to use something else, right? But yeah, in any case, you get this more or less unlimited creativity that you can do. And it says like it transformed our computing landing page into a truly cinematic neuroplastic experience. I have no idea what this means in terms of how that exactly is going to look like. It is summarizing this with way more conviction than I had it. So I'll just trust the AI at this point here. I will apply this and I will just run it. Let's see how it looks like now. Oh, okay. Oh
Interesting.
wow.
This is
Oh
beautiful.
wow, that's actually pretty neat.
Yep.
You see these elements here?
Yep. I can see that.
That is crazy. That is literally insane. Um Again, as I said, this is probably something that does not satisfy general aesthetic standards, but it is an excellent exploration of different qualities and different creative directions that you might have. So just go, creative, go berserk with this. If I click, actually, you can see that if I click that these rotating squares, they get a little bit changed, and their sizes are also changing. Now let me try and ask Zencoder to critically evaluate this from the conversion rate optimization. Let's
Mhm.
just see how that would work. So I can go and hit slash. Oh no, I'll do it in the new chat basically. I will hit slash crow my agent, and that should work. Let's see how that would work. Crow agent. So if you remember, that's the agent that I wanted to perform pretty much the conversion rate audit of our website. It needs to gather some information. What's the URL? Oh, okay. I see what it is doing here. Just use the existing code base. And I will explain in a second what happened here. So sometimes when we are running a different agents, they might ask you if you actually if you actually added that tool to them, and I will show you what I mean by giving access to tools. So if I go to agents, if I go to custom, and there's my CRO agent here, under the tools, you will see that I have this gather requirements tool, right? So you can scope your agents. This is the custom agent that by default, I allowed it to have all access to pretty much all the built-in tools. But one of them is gather requirements. So when that comes into place was this situation that we just had here, right? So it did not have all the information. I just tell it like, hey, I want you to run this without providing it an URL, without providing it more of the information. And then the requirements gathering agent will kick in and ask you, if you want to provide more information about it. So it will also kick in when you're using our coding agent. And if your prompt is a little too ambiguous, it might ask you like, hey, do you want to, I don't know, store your data in local storage, or if you want me to help you set up a proper database with, I don't know, Supabase, Postgres, or maybe SQLite, something locally, right? So it will smartly understand if it misses some of the context or if it misses some of the information, it will do those things for you. So here I can see this entire analysis. It says visually impressive animations, clear navigation structure. Okay, we knew that, but what are the improvement areas? Navigation menu lacks visual indicators. Research links exist in navigation, but there is no corresponding section in the code. That is actually true. That is actually, I believe, true. If I click on research, you see, it's not in code. Solutions is there, technology is there, but research does not have that. And our custom agent actually figured that out just from looking at the code without me giving it an URL to figure those things. Let's go back and see what else it did. Page load performance. We knew this, right? That the extensive animations can cause performance issues. But for this case, as I said, it was just an exploration. What we could do is actually the following. I can go and ask Zencoder, can you suggest some of the optimization techniques that we could use regardless of the heavy animations that we have on this page? So basically, I just, oops, still doing it. This is funny. Basically, what I did, I just dictated this, right? So I can save some time from typing it, and I wanted it to figure out and suggest some of the optimization techniques that we can do. And it says here, like animation performance tuning, current implementation has something, and then the optimized implementation. So yeah, once you're happy, for example, with your visual appeal, once you've done some of the conversion rate optimizations, you can go into this nitty-gritty of performance optimization and making sure that this is not something that will burn the user's computer and will still be usable even on the lower end devices or devices that might need that might not be as powerful as some others which are capable of running a bunch of these animations. Yeah, that's, as you can see here, it's also now suggesting me a bunch of different improvements for SEO as well. Generally trying to turn this eye candy into something that is also quite useful and business worthy in a sense, I would say. Do we have any additional questions, Shantanu, or do you want to ask something?
No, I don't have any more questions, but there are two things. One is Leon from our team. He suggested that we should share some prompts after the session. So yeah, it would be
Okay.
great if you can share it across. I'll put it in the chat.
I have a suggestion for that. I will share prompts. Let's do the following. I will stop sharing my screen. I'm back now.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is the following. We have our communities. We have Discord. We have our Slack communities. I think you posted just before this event. You posted a couple of announcements for this one. What I'm going to do, I will paste these prompts in the thread in either of those communities. I'll just ask you to do the same. So right after this call, give us like 10-15 minutes, and then we will paste them. We will paste them there. I see that someone said, Nikolai said, future of GitHub repositories would be just text files with prompts. That actually is not that far from the truth, because it's been already a while since people have started talking. The hottest new programming language is English, but of course that comes with caveats, right? So as in this case here, we went a little bit crazy. We went a little bit overboard deliberately for a bunch of these things. But as I said, when you want to do something with more precision, then it really makes a lot of sense to specify
Yeah.
specific changes, specify specific elements. Maybe down the road we could do a webinar where we share best tips and practices about prompting, not just about building cinematic experiences, but generally something that could be useful for people in that direction. So if you can, I see that you posted Slack community link here,
Yep.
and
I already
can you share the one? Can you share the one for Discord,
sure.
that people can also join the Discord? While you're doing that, I want to also invite you for our next webinar. So next Wednesday at the same time, we will be running webinar, but a little bit different topic. Here, everything was about front end, about visible changes and things that you're working on. On the next one, we will be talking about autonomous agents. So Zencoder comes with its own Zen agents, autonomous Zen agents that you can run from CLI or as a part of your workflows in Jira, and also as a part of your workflows later on in GitHub. So next time when you join us, we will be showing you how you do that. One of my colleagues, I believe Alex, might actually do that
Yep.
demo. We will show you how that works. So if you have come up with some ideas and suggestions on how to use it, that would be awesome for us. Um, so thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining. As I said, I will share quite a bit of these prompts that we used. Feel free to experiment with them. Try to see what you can build on your own with it, and maybe share some videos or even links if you end up deploying them. It would be always nice. Even screenshots, stuff like that, would be pretty interesting for us to see.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you so much, Vibor, for joining in, showing across how to build a beautiful and cinematic UI using Zencoder. Yeah, as Vibor said, I would also encourage you folks to build out something amazing. Tag us on LinkedIn. Let us know your thoughts, and just we will be happy to see the output as well. Once again, thank you so much for joining in. If you have any questions, you can reach us out on a Slack or Discord or email. And see you again in the next one.
Thank you everyone for joining. Take care, guys. See ya. Bye bye.
Bye bye.